My mom, I loved her so much. She was my first love.
51-year-old Glenroy Roberts wanted Gwinnett police to think he was mourning the loss of his wife because of her.
And I felt like it was so disrespectful because my mom, she would never do that because she loved her children way too much.
Not that type of person. And she would never even think of it.
Police say it didn't take long, though, for detectives to believe he was actually covering up a murder.
And he couldn't tell the truth, and finally admit to what he did.
They say Glenroy Roberts was abusive in the past, but that Claudia tried to make it work for their kids.
She wanted to see them grow up with a father.
Now the tragedy has left 5 children without a mother and a father in jail for murder.
August 2nd, 2022 was the day that my whole world would be flipped upside down. Honestly, I'm not too sure where to start. And I've been kind of avoiding making this video, genuinely. The day that my mom passed, we had a conversation, and the conversation was about being happy. And she asked me about, at the time, I was with my ex-girlfriend, and she asked me, like, are y'all back together? And I looked at her and I said, Mom, I'm not worried about whether or not if we're back together. I'm more so focused on being happy, because for a long time, I didn't choose happiness. And she agreed. And she said that she also felt like she didn't choose happiness in her life for a very long time as well.
I'm not loving myself. I'm not enjoying my life.
My last day with my mother went, I think, as well as it could have went, barring the tragedy that would happen later that night. We woke up, very early, running errands, driving around, just chatting it up, having a good time. My little brother was there. Went, ate breakfast, had a little lunch. I even got stuck in a tire shop bathroom, and I had to text her. She was like, "Are you okay?" Like, coming and trying to break down the door to come get me. We joked, we laughed. It was all a good day. Up until the very end. See, I was supposed to go with her to go pick up my father from the truck stop so that she could get her clothes and move out finally, so that she can finally be happy, I talked to her, she said, "Daniel, I really need you to come with me. Like, I really do." And I told her, like, "Mom, I've been up for over almost 48 hours, and I just need some sleep. When you get over there, give me a call, or if you need some help, give me a call and I'll be over there." And I hugged her and I kissed her and I told her that I love her. And she left with my little brother. And I went to sleep. And I woke up and she never called me. She never did anything. I woke up and I had this weird feeling you know. So I went to the gym, you know, like I normally do, routine, about to go hoop or work out. I didn't end up doing anything but just standing around, and I'm talking to someone, and I got a call from my baby sister. And she says, "Daniel, I think something's wrong. You need to go check up on mommy. She's not answering her phone. Noah's not answering his phone. Like, you need to go now." And so I did. And I ran all these scenarios through my head of what I was gonna do, right? Because my father, he has a history of violence with my mom, stemming from when I was a kid, probably before I could even remember. On my birthday, November 30th, 2009, my mom bought me a phone. And I didn't understand what was going on at the time. But my father was so upset about it. And he hit her, you know. And I was there for that. And I watched it, and I was so confused as to why. You know, I started screaming and yelling, like, "Stop, stop." I'm trying to get everybody else in the house to come, like, "Yo, they're fighting, they're fighting." And the police were called, and he was arrested that very day. And we moved out, you know, away from him. And I felt like it was perfect. Yeah, it sucked, you know, not being with my dad, but at that time, like, I was scared. You know, I didn't want to be around him. I didn't like the fact that he put his hands on my mother, you know. Being so young, I wasn't able to do anything about it. And so I always told myself, like, later on in life, if he ever, you know, tries to put his hands on my mom again, I'm, you know, like, it's up. Things would always be a little weird between my mom and my dad. And I noticed it since then. See, when I was younger, I was the one that was always delegated to go with them anywhere. So a lot of the times I would go places with my dad, and we'd spend a lot of time together. And we had a good bond because of that. And over the years, as I realized, like, what he was doing as far as, like, mentally abusing my mother, and even to a point mentally abusing his children, especially me, and especially my youngest brother, you know, my younger brother. That bond broke, you know, and as time went on, like, I started to despise him. I started to hate him. I stopped calling him Dad, and he was now Mr. Roberts. And after a while, I didn't even tell him that I loved him. And I would watch the way how, like, he'd treat, you know, like, my younger brother, and it always pissed me off. He would go to the extent of giving him ass whoopings for no reason, like, absolutely no reason. And it would be to the point where, like, my brother is screaming and crying in terror, and I have to go in there, and I'm like, "What are you doing? Like, stop. What are you hitting him for? He's 7, 8 years old. Why?" And lo and behold, who would have known that at the same age, you know, that I witnessed my mother be assaulted by my father physically, that my brother would be there at the time that she passed away, fatally shot 6 times in the head. Oh, God. You know, that drive there after I got the call from my sister, that drive was long. and something just fell off. And I was hyping myself up like, I'm gonna go beat his ass, fuck him up, and then take my mom and my little brother and we're gonna go. And unfortunately, I was the first to arrive on the scene. And as I was pulling through the gate of the apartment complex where they lived, or at least where my dad was staying, I just knew. Unfortunately, there were too many police cars, too many paramedics, And I saw my little brother on the steps, like, screaming, "My mom, where's my mom? What did you do to her? Where's my mom?" And I tried to rush over there, and the police wouldn't let me. And one of the officers, he settled me down and he said, "Listen, I gotta tell you something. And I don't know the easy way of telling you this. But your mom is dead." And I fell to my knees because I just didn't understand, why? Why? And I remember having to drive because they had to take my brother in for questioning, and what was a 20-minute ride felt like hours and hours. It's like the whole world just stopped. And I started making the calls to all my siblings so that they wouldn't have heard it from no one else. They would have heard it from me. And nobody could believe. And even to this day now, he still can't talk about my mom. And sometimes I don't know what to tell him because he just can't. He can't express himself. And I know, it's not okay. He's not okay. I'm not okay. Nobody in my family, none of my siblings, none of my other family members, none of us are okay. And this pain that we've been feeling, it's been very unsubsiding. My youngest sister, she's 18, and she just had her first child.
My mom was the best person alive. She was always there for us. She always knew what was wrong with me, even when I didn't. She knew me like I knew myself. She knew me better than I knew myself. She knew everything. She watched me grow. She was always there. Always there. She was always there. And even when nobody could see if something was wrong with me or I was sad, she knew. She always knew. She was my best friend. And it's hard living without her because there's so many things that this beautiful woman that I'm becoming, she's not seeing it here. I don't get to hear if she's proud of me. I don't get to see her anymore. She's never gonna meet my son in the flesh. There's so many things that she's missing. But to sum it up, she was the best, and I miss her, and my heart aches anytime I think about her. That's it.
And my mom wasn't even there to be there. Like my mom, she always talked about being a grandmother and how she was looking forward to being a grandmother, and that was gonna be her opportunity to finally be a grandmother, you know, and it would have been her first. And my sister, like she had to go through that process all alone, you know. She doesn't know how to be a mom. And my mom she should be here in order to help her and guide her through, you know, those daily challenges of being a mom. My other sister, my other two,
I've actually been avoiding this video, but I'm trying to push myself out of, not a dark spot because I was in a dark spot when you left, but just being more open with my feelings. My mommy, you were a special person to me. You were my light. You showed me how to love, how to forgive, how to understand people. You left me before my 18th birthday. And I feel like I needed you the most when I turned 18. But you lived such a good life, you were everything to me. I love you, mommy. And you don't understand how much you've changed me, even after you left. You've changed me to be the better person, to show love, to be more happy, to smile, to pray, to love my life, to live in the moment. I'm coming out without my lashes, my makeup, and I still talk about you to this day. Even when you were alive, I talked about you. I really don't know what to say because I'm still battling with you being gone. It might have been 3 years, but I feel like you was literally here yesterday.
I felt completely defeated. I couldn't even come to digest, to swallow, or to really comprehend what was just said to me. Prior to me getting that call, I did feel extremely tired before getting that call where I couldn't even finish one of my clients. I had to say, I gotta go home. Something's going on. I don't know what's wrong. And I took a nap. And within the 20-minute nap, that's when I got the call. So I was in disbelief.
For a time, I didn't even talk to either of them because I was so angry at the situation. I was so angry about how things ended between all of us. It's like when my mom, when she passed, it it broke us, and it broke me.
As a mother, it's hard to see your kids hurting, I would say.
I felt like I was finally coming into my own, you know, as a young man. I was finally getting my feet up under me. I finally felt like I had purpose. I was driven.
And as I tell my son, I said, listen, when you're growing up, I want you to be the man of your family.
And I sat there and I saved up probably the most money that I had ever saved up. I was so proud of myself. I think it was like I had $5,000 in cash, you know, from my job over like a span of like 3 months, just saving. And my mom, like, she looked at me one day and she was like, yo, because at the time she wasn't working. She was like, yo, I need some money. Can you help me? And I said, how much do you need? And she told me the amount. And I went to my little hiding spot, I guess you call it. And I took all the money and I gave it to her. And I felt so proud of myself. I felt like I had finally helped my mom, you know. And everyone knows, right? Everybody in my family knows. Everybody that's close to my mom knows, like, she rides the hardest for her kids. Even as much as we done messed up, you know, and I would say in certain situations took advantage of the fact of how nice my mom was. She was always there for us. Because she knew, you know, like, she knew what it was like to struggle. She knew what it was like coming from a third world country and coming to America and working on the grind, you know, and like leveling up herself in order to be where she was at. And my mom, she was the most positive person.
Mom, you want to get in the video too? You want us to come say hey?
Yeah. What is?
I was just about to say, she always be the first one to, hi guys. Look, come over here, you gotta come over here.
She's been
Get
practicing
down.
Move.
Yeah, she's been practicing her hey guys.
What's good, YouTube? This is Fanab's mom, and
I don't know.
what? Everybody been asking you, and she's the guest. I'm their mom.
You know, always positive, always looking at the bigger picture, like, hey, you're gonna be great.
I got mad love for you. And I know you can do it.
You know, she used to always tell me, like, yo, you're gonna be great. All my children are gonna be successful. And she would give us the platform to be able to do that.
As I told my kids this morning, you can't pour from an empty cup. You cannot pour from an empty cup. So you gotta start somewhere. You might have your goals up here, right? That you want to achieve. But in order for you to achieve it, you gotta start from somewhere.
I had the most awesomest, most caring, most understanding, the most hard-earning, go-getter mother there is, I feel like. And your words, your wisdom, your charisma has built me to who I am today. You were such a big person. Your energy was so big that it still blesses me and still teach me till this day.
And she would take care of us as long as she could, you know, as long as it was humanly possible for her to do it, even if she had to go blind. Like, she would give it all for her kids, you know? Like, she would do any and everything that she could do for her kids so that we could be successful. And she would always speak life into us and, you know, let us know that God has us and that we're protected and that, you know, we're covered by the blood of Jesus. And I didn't understand, you know, a lot when she spoke about things like that. But after she passed, I really delved into my spirituality, into my faith, and I seen it firsthand. You know, regardless of what has ever gone on in my life, I've always been protected. I've always been in the perfect situation. It's always been through his will. And I think part of that is also my mom looking out for me and my siblings as well.
But glory to God, it makes 3 years, August 2nd, and my siblings and I are doing so much better than I can even imagine. Our family is growing, and honestly, it is sad not to see mommy a part of this, as a lot of these things were her like dreams, to see us establish certain things and grow in certain areas. But thank you to her that she left a mark on us. We've learned to stick together, put our differences to the side, and know that this is our family.
As a mother, it's hard to see your kids trying their hardest to make the best decision for themselves. Because I was young once, and shoot, when I was 21, I didn't know what I really wanted, to do career-wise. But with time, things work itself out, but
I'm not good with my words, but I'm glad you was my mom. And I'm glad I got to experience you, experience your love, experience every angle about you. I'm glad that I was one of your friends and that you were my friend. I really don't know how this video is going to turn out, but I love you, mommy. Every time I look in the mirror, I see you. And I smile, make sure to smile. I have your same Joker smile. So I'm glad you left a little bit peace on this earth, that I could look in the mirror and I could smile back on you. I try to be a thug and I try to be a hard body, but you're literally my weakness. I miss your smile. I miss your smell. I miss your laughter. I miss you joking. Oh, how I miss you yelling at me. You've taught me so much of being a woman before I even realized it. I love you, mommy. And I'm so sorry this happened to you, but I feel like the good ones don't ever stay to finish out the movies. They're always here to teach a lesson and to educate before they leave. I'm not mad. I mean, I'm sad, but I've learned forgiveness and I've learned to accept fate and accept the position that I am in. And to breathe in the pain instead of having it sit on my chest. To go through it. You left me here with my 2 brothers, my 2 sisters. And don't we butt heads like hell, because you were such a strong person when it came on to your personality. But goddamn, I'm so glad you left them here. Because every time I see my sister or my brother, I see you in them. And I'm so thankful that you did that. And that you taught me that us being together, that us being as a team, a unit, we'll get far.
Despite the chaos and everything, she always made sure that she left us with great guidance when it comes on to sticking together, working hard for what you need, not just working hard, but trying to be happy while you do these things, because she's experienced a lot of hurt and things when she was alive, and the last thing she wanted was for her kids to go through those things.
I feel like I failed her, you know, by not being there to be able to protect her in her last hours, because I was supposed to be there. I was. And I have so much guilt about it. And I wish I could just go back. I run the scenario through my head almost every day. Like, what if I was there? You know, because she didn't deserve that. I could have been there for her. I could have helped her. I could have saved her. I could have maybe eased the tension, and she could have just left and finally been free. And unfortunately, as it is, I don't feel like my mom could have gone out any other way, because she was shackled down by the manipulative nature of my father. Because he would always have the right answer, or the, oh, but we have children, and oh, but this, and oh, you know, we got to keep the family together. And my mom, like, she was kind of a sucker for that, you know, because she didn't grow up with both of her parents. You know, she was adopted. She didn't grow up with her mom and her dad. You know, she never had a two-parent household, so she always told us that the reason for her staying is the fact that she wanted to be able to have that for us, so that we didn't have to grow up without a father, or we didn't, you know, like, just certain things. And I understood it, you know. I've always understood it. And as I got older, I prefaced this to my mom, you know, because we used to always talk about, like, how can we be better people? And I told her that the main thing was that you got to love yourself.
The topic came up again. If you don't love yourself, you can't love anybody else. You have to love yourself. For many years, I didn't love myself. I put everybody over, you know, above me. Everybody needs everything. And now I'm like, I love me, and there's nothing wrong with it. If I don't love me, I can't love anybody else, really. You know, and I just started appreciating myself the way I should have in the beginning. You know, and I hope that my kids and other people out there, you gotta love yourself. You gotta want better for yourself. You know, we often sit and mope and, oh, I want a better life, I want a better life. But what are we really doing to achieve a better life?
You know? And you have to be happy. Like, there's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. Because if you're not happy and if you don't love yourself, then you can't give, you know, to the people that you need to give to. Like, you can't do it fully, you know? And I felt like my mom, she stopped loving herself because she had to stay with my father, or at least she felt like she had to stay with my father. You know, me and him, we came to blows, and, you know, we fought one night. And there was other situations where, like, I had to cuss him out because he was just bothering my mom so much. And I had to tell him, like he kept asking, where did the love go between the two of them? And I ran down the list, like, where was the love when you was cheating on my mom while I was there? And you used to bring me to go see these women, you know? Where was the love when you were putting your hands on her? Not before my birthday. That was just the first time that I had done seen it. But all those times before when y'all were fighting. Where was the love when my mom put me in the car and we followed you and you went to go see one of your side chicks? Where was the love then? You know, like, where where has the love been since then? You know, like, this is not a new and recurring thing, and I never understood what happened, why is it that he could never understand that it's not my mom's fault? It's not. And he would consistently blame her for the lack of their marriage, and like me being a fuck up, and that I'm not a real man and all this other stuff. And it's like, yo, like, I'm young and I'm trying to figure myself out. And here you are bothering my mom about the fact that she's finally ready to move on, you know, with her life, and ready to be in a better situation for herself, and ready to finally put herself into just to be happy, you know? And I don't know what that last conversation, you know, was like between the two of them before he would take her life, but I could only imagine what it was, right? My mom was shot 6 times in the head and neck. And somehow he tried to say that it was that she took her own life. And he tried to hide the gun under her body. And I felt like it was so disrespectful, because my mom, she would never do that, because she loved her children way too much. Point blank, period. And all my siblings will tell you that. Everybody in my family will tell you that. Like, Claudia would never do that. My mom would never do that. And, you know, the day of his trial, like, I thought that he would finally fess up to what he did. And even with all the evidence as clear as day, and I even heard his lawyer say, like, himself, out of his own mouth, like, this was a losing case from the beginning, that he just couldn't be honest. And he couldn't tell the truth, you know, and finally admit to what he did. And I thought that seeing him being put away for the rest of his life, it would have did me some type of, you know, like, justice, or like I would have felt a lot better, or, you know, like, but honestly, it didn't do anything for me. I'm still angry. I still have nightmares. I'm still depressed about it. Like, I miss my mom. And I'll never be able to get her back. And there's been plenty of situations now that I just I just will never have her. She'll never be able to see me get married. She'll never be able to see, like, my children, you know, much less everyone else's. She wasn't there from when he graduated from elementary school, you know. She won't be there for all these big moments that I will have in my life, and it saddens me so much, because I just don't understand, like, why her? Why us? Why? I feel like I've lived such a long life of misery, and he was the catalyst of it, you know? And for a good while there, like, when I used to look in the mirror, you know, I would see his face. And I'd be so concerned, like, why is it that when I look at myself, I see him and I don't want to be him because I'm not him, you know? And they say, like, the sins of the father always fall on the children. And I witnessed it firsthand, you know? A lot of the things that he did is, like, I kind of followed suit and did them as well. Of course, I never put my hands on a woman. I'd never do that. I'd never, you know, taken any woman's life. But being a manipulator and a cheater and a liar, like, I watched myself do that for years, and I can't blame him for that, right? But I did. It's like, where did I pick that behavior up? And it would be from him. And so now I'm working on myself, right, to be better than that, to actually be a father. You know, I never knock my dad, right? Because at the end of the day, like, we're born into this world and we can't ask who our parents are gonna be, you know? Because then if it was, I would have asked for, like, LeBron James or, like, Kobe Bryant or somebody like that to be my parent, right? To be my dad, at least. Still would want my mom. Love my mom to death. Would never change that. But I don't have to be him. I don't have to have the same actions as him. I don't have to be a junior. Like, I can be myself. I remember doing a video for my mom, like, for her funeral, like a month after that. And during that video, like, I would, like, every single time, like, midway through, I just start screaming, like, my mom, like, where's my mom? Like, I want her back. Like, I love her so much. Yo, I really feel like I lost a part of me. I don't feel the same. I can tell there's a change within myself. Like, I don't love the same. I don't even think, like, that's even in me anymore to, like, be able to do that. And of course, like, I love my family, and thankfully, like, I was able to find a community of people that really appreciated me for me, you know? And shouts out to everyone from the South Gwinnett family, you know, like, everyone, the parents, the coaches, like, they really took me in. Shouts out to my own family, my aunt, my uncle, for providing, you know, somewhere for me to live. But I just feel like I'm not whole. And I don't feel like I'll ever be whole again. Because my mom was such a big piece in my life. Because I knew the type of good that she did. I knew how many people she helped. I was there, and I was so surprised, you know, of how many people actually showed up when we had her wake. People that I had never even seen before in my life are there telling me how much my mom impacted their life and how much good she did. And I always knew, like, you know, because she always went out her way to help everyone, you know, as much as she could, and she never really helped herself, but I didn't know to what extent. And it was good to see that, how many people she really affected. I want all the women out there to know, and just everybody in general, like, watch who you lay down with. Watch who you surround yourself with. And please, please keep yourself out of situations where you're being harmed, you know? I hate whenever I see, like, women being harassed and, you know, like, treated bad. Like, I don't think that's right in the slightest. Because I watched my mom be tormented and tortured basically the 21 years at that point that I was living. Please seek help. You know, if you are in those types of situations, speak up.
I've learned to ask for help. If you need help, you need to ask for help. It doesn't make you less of a man. It doesn't make you less of a person.
Don't leave yourself, you know, like, don't lose yourself. Please, because you'll be able to do it by yourself. You know, like, you don't need that person in your life if they're disrespecting you or putting their hands on you. You don't need that in your life. That does literally nothing for you. Please, just I miss my mom so much. And to everyone out there, please, like, protect your mom, you know? Protect your parents. You know, for a long time, I wasn't even able to be around, like, people and around, like, their moms. It did something to me. I would get jealous and I would be angry because it's like, where's my mom at? Why is she not here? And my mom, I loved her so much. She was my first love. She was my first love. She was the first person that I ever loved in this world. And I know that she's still watching over me. And I appreciate her so very much for that every day. And I thank God and I thank her every day for continuously watching me. And although nobody showed up, you know, when I graduated boot camp, like, I knew that she was there. And I know that she'll be there for all my other big moments in life, because that was just the beginning. I love you, Mom. And this video's for you. Because people should know how amazing you were. And they'll never be able to see the amount of people that you help, but I know. We both know how good you were as a human being and how good as you were as a person. And I only hope that I can be half as great as you were. Thank y'all for watching. It's been your friendly neighborhood Phantom. And I'm going Ghost.